in determining what the highest possible price is that we can get for our client to sell their business, so that it's also sold in the quickest possible time. So what we're doing there is we're checking back on a lot of other historical data that we've got. So we've been in world of business sales for more than 20 years across Australia. So we're checking a lot of historical data. We've got access to other Australian and international business sale transactions to understand what multiples are out there, what's happening in the marketplace, not only in Australia, but globally. So we're checking all of that, and then we're running that also against our own in-house modelling, be able to work out what the best way to structure this particular business is in terms of a price. Yeah, so when it comes to that business valuation, often there is the owner, or the directors of the business. They've often been in it for a while. They've built it up, they've grown it, and it gives them quite a substantial benefit over time that they've built, and it's almost like their baby, I suppose, but it's grown very large. And they've reached the point where they might want to divest their shareholding and just move on to other things, or they might even be retiring. It just sort of depends on where things are at. But what we do have to make sure is that we want to make sure, firstly, that we get the best possible result for them, right? Because we respect what they've done. They've put everything into it. They've built it. At the same time, we also then have to make sure that if we go out to the marketplace, that we're going out and we're both on the same page. There's no point us going out there and trying to talk to all of our buyer pool and talk to people about investing and buying this business if the price that we're asking for it is out of market range. Because all that's going to happen is it's going to damage our credibility, and it's also then going to make sure that it's probably going to ensure the business doesn't sell, or it takes way too long to sell, and they can miss out on some very good buyers that are there by sometimes going on the market too high. So we try to make sure that doesn't happen by understanding the marketplace, knowing exactly what the buyers are probably likely to pay, and then having a strategy that we go out into the marketplace to make sure that we can give ourselves the best chance of getting the highest possible price, but also so our client, the vendor that's selling, is on the same page as us and is willing to actually accept a price that is market value. So I guess the advice that we give back is around, okay, we've had a look at everything. This is what we think your business is probably going to sell for, somewhere between here and here. And here's how we're going to then pitch that. Here's what we're going to do. So as long as you're on board with us, that you're happy to accept that, here's why we think it'll sell for in that range. As long as you're happy with that and you can accept that, well, we can work together and go out there and get that result for you.
I think that there's, often a disconnect, sometimes between what a business owner thinks it's worth, because there's a lot of emotional attachment, and they put the hours in and spend years and years. So you can understand that, but really sort of taking a step back and just being able to sort of being able to see. And a lot of people will ask, I guess, what the motivation is for selling, especially for profitable businesses. Why are you selling? So I think as well, just being open and honest about those reasons, and I think you always want to leave a bit, for a little bit of blue sky, and so I think it's probably that getting a business ready for sale is probably the most important thing, because really, if you could have the best business in the world, but if it's not presented properly, or if it's if you feel like you're asking for something that is unrealistic, well then it's probably got less chance of selling. So I think that's really important, and something that I think is a lot of business owners would probably not realize, and I think that's the more I guess that that people can think about the actual sale process and understand the sale process. I guess the more emphasis that might be placed on all the pre-sale work that needs to be done.
So when you run a business, you get emotionally attached to that business, and rightly so. You put your heart and soul into it. You work really, really hard. Unfortunately, buyers don't have that same emotion about your business yet. So when we sort of talk to a seller and they've got that emotional attachment, we really sort of got to get the point across is that the business will sell for what it's worth, and what it's worth is based around return on investment primarily. So when a buyer looks at a business, they're going to be looking at it very unemotional. They're going to look at it from the point of view that, what's my return on investment going to be like for this business? And is this business going to satisfy that? So if they don't get that result or they don't get a good return for their money, they'll just choose something else. So, in the end, every now and then you may get a sale that sells for higher than market value because it's a strategically good move for a business to buy a business in a certain market for a certain time. They're very rare. Those kind of sales, they're extremely rare. Most sales, 99% of sales are all done on value. So value's quite, it's not really subjective. It's very, very, pragmatic. You just work out what the return on investment is going to be. It's pretty much a mathematical equation, and then you know what the value of that business is going to be. There'll be a few variations here and there on certain businesses that are heavily asset laden and places like that, but primarily it's all based around return on investment. So from our perspective, it's a mathematical equation. So, and then we show that to our clients, and hopefully they can see that too. And most clients in the M&A space, they already sort of know that. They already sort of understand. They're sort of a bit more, I say, sophisticated business owners, so they'll sort of understand that mostly. But every now and then, you got to sort of, bring a bit of a reality check to someone about their business's value. It's, it sort of works out that way.